Okay, good morning, everyone. Um, Welcome to our routine weekly briefing for the period Thursday through Wednesday, September 8th through 14th. My name is Gail Hartfield, Senior Forecaster here at the National Weather Service in Raleigh, and let's get started. Okay, here's a first look at the upcoming weather pattern for Central North Carolina. We're going to have some fairly quiet weather today through Friday. We do have a front that is settled to the south of us, and high pressure is nosing in from the north. And this produced a little bit of lingering moisture and clouds today. So we won't ensure a fairly sunny day today, but probably a little more so tomorrow. And as we get into the weekend, though, we're going to start seeing that front approaching back as a northward as a warm front. At the same time, we're going to see a cold front approaching very slowly from the north and northwest. And so once that approaches, we're going to start to see moisture increasing over the area. So we're going to have increasing chances for showers and storms as we're heading into the weekend, mostly across the south and southwest, especially Saturday. Sunday, again, focused on the southwest sections and back into the mountains, but not to say we can't get some showers and thunderstorms in our northeast sections as well. Once that front tracks through the area Monday night and Tuesday, it will push to the coast on Wednesday, and we'll start to see conditions kind of drying out as we approach midweek. We will have an increased chance of rip currents along our beaches. So that's something to keep an eye out for, especially this weekend, as Hurricane Earl tracks well off to our east. So it's not going to affect us directly, other than the fact that there will be deadly rip current threats along the coast. So I'll get to that in just a little bit when we go to our tropical discussion here. So here is the accumulated rainfall forecast for the next few days. Again, focusing more on our west and southern sections, and especially in the mountains. You could see some fairly heavy rainfall in the southern mountains and in the east-facing slopes over the weekend, especially Saturday. So something to keep an eye out for if you have plans to go to the mountains over the weekend. They will have some threat of some heavy rainfall, so just be on the lookout for that. And as we start getting into the early part of next week, we will see continued fairly dry conditions across the east. Definitely lower precipitation chances there for the next several days, and focus will be across our west and southern sections, including the Triad. Here's the excessive rainfall outlook. Not really expecting hardly any rainfall the next couple of days. As we get into Saturday and the weekend, our southwest sections could see some marginalized risk of some excessive rainfall, especially impacting some urban areas and in the areas with some terrain. So something to watch out for. You could see some ponding of water on roads as we start getting into the weekend, especially across that south and west sections of our area. Here is the Storm Prediction Center's severe weather outlook. And again, not forecasting any severe storms at this time. We will see an increasing chance of thunderstorms as we get into the weekend, especially again across our south and west sections, but none of these are expected to be severe. Okay, and as promised, here is the tropical section. We are looking at the peak of tropical activity in the Atlantic Basin this weekend. Actually, I believe it's September 10th is the climatological peak of activity. So definitely is not saying that we can't get activity before and after that. We could see things ramping up all through the month of September, but climatologically speaking, over the course of many years, that's when we usually see our greatest number of activity and storms out there and in the Atlantic Basin. And this is things are starting to perk up after a extremely historically quiet August. We are seeing some things popping up here in September. Of note first is Hurricane Earl, and that is currently sitting at 105 miles per hour of central maximum winds, sustained winds, higher gusts, of course. That is forecast to increase a little bit over the next day or so, and is expected to become a major hurricane. You can see the forecast there on the left. It is forecast to become a major hurricane later on today. and maintain that strength as we get into the weekend before starting to weaken and become extratropical over the far North Atlantic early next week. But until then, that is going to produce a pretty good chance for rip currents along the East Coast beaches, all along the East Coast. So no place is safe, even though the storm itself is well offshore. It doesn't take much to get rip currents going along our coast. So something to watch out for. Rip currents, we have every summer, every year, we have so many deaths from rip currents, and something really needs to be respected, even if the storm is not right at the coast. Can still cause those rip currents, so something to watch out for. Moving around, Tropical Storm Danielle is actually starting to become extratropical. That will continue to weaken as it tracks toward Europe over the next few days. It won't be a factor for us. Rotating around to the eastern and portion of the Atlantic Basin and kind of the bottom right portion of the graphic here. We've got a couple of systems we're watching for. There's very low development chances for the wave that's just now coming off of Africa. A better chance for that system that's further off to the north and west. This area has a 70% chance of development into a tropical storm over the next few days. So something to watch out for, not an imminent threat, but we will certainly be keeping our eyes on that. Moving on to the 8 to 14 day outlook. This is courtesy of Climate Prediction Center, looking at generally a slight chance of above normal temperatures and a decent chance of below normal rainfall here next week. And our normal highs are dropping. We're down to normal lows in the low 60s and highs in the low 80s. So what we're seeing today and over the next few days is definitely continuing to be above normal temperatures for this area. So here's our latest drought update. This graphic is courtesy of the the North Carolina Climate Center. And basically we've got a fairly abnormally dry conditions still continuing over much of central North Carolina, not nearly what it had been earlier this year, but is still some concerns for lake levels and agricultural concerns, especially over eastern North Carolina, as we start to see abnormally dry conditions continuing. And finally, heading on to our summary, again, quiet, mostly dry weather through today through Friday. Deeper moisture will start to return to the area over the weekend ahead of that cold front. And we'll see increased chances for showers and storms ahead of this front. As it crosses the area and moves to our east by midweek, we'll see rain chances kind of going back down by the middle of next week. And again, that increased rip current threat along all of the beaches all along the East Coast due to the effects of Hurricane Earl, even though it's going to be staying well offshore. Again, hazards and impacts seem fairly low. We will see some isolated pockets of heavy rain possible in the south and west portions, including the Triad Saturday, but particularly Sunday. And again, that increased rip current threat. And you see the forecast there. Temperatures will be running just a little bit above normal over the next several days. Nothing too crazy, but continuing our warm conditions. So that's it. And thanks for attending, and we will see you again for our next weekly briefing on Monday.